In October 20th, 2019, Chile turned its clocks back to 1973. Let's rewind a bit to see why. After the coup, September 11, 1973, began a horrible dictatorship that ended in 1990, but the Chilean people were left with its heritage, the current constitution, and thousands of missing, tortured, and dead people, and no explanation till this day. At the beginning of October in 2019, there was a second rise on the subway fare, and the students made a call for everyone to evade the subway pay. And on the 20th, thousands of people were protesting. Due to the violence of the government and the police, thousands more joined. That night, the president declared a state of emergency and put a curfew on the whole country. Chile hadn't had the military out on the streets since the dictatorship. Since that day, protests happened every day till COVID. The protest became about something more than 30 pesos rise on the subway fare, but about the last 30 years of injustices. On October 26th, history changed. More than 1.2 million people gathered in the center of the city to protest. The way that Chilean people have come together is so inspiring. Art has been the main way of protesting. Music, illustrations, signs, performances, dancing, acting, and the evidence of all this is spaced all around the center's walls. That's why I chose that space to work with. I decided to create a monument that would serve as a commemoration of the protests of 2019. Since street art is temporary and the government has already covered up many of the walls in the center of the city, I want to create a space that would be dedicated to the art on the walls and that no one will be able to cover up like most walls have been by now. The monument would consist of a series of columns very close to one another, representing the space people take when protesting. This way, you would be able to walk in between these columns and get a sense of what it was like to be in the protests of 2019. The columns have different heights simulating a wave, and this contributes to the idea of how the mass of people became one big wave during the social awakening. Apart from being a space dedicated especially for the art, the columns would make up a much larger surface than a wall of the same length would, so it would take a lot more work and time if someone wanted to paint over them overnight, like the walls in the center of the city have been. People will be able to go and write messages, paint murals, paste posters and lithographies, and any other type of art that is now distributed in the walls of the center of Santiago. This will be the way the protests will live forever in the city.